live the settlement for the benefit of future generations. Kia ora koutou.
Mr. Speaker.
David Clendon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ke te mihi nui kia koutou. Ki ngā rangatira mā, ngā kuia mā, ki ngā hapu katoa o Ngati Whare me Ngati Manawa, tēnā koutou katoa. Sir, it's a pleasure to take the call for the Greens to confirm our support for the settlement bill today. I'd like to begin by acknowledging and echoing the remarks made by Minister Sharples and by the Honourable Parakura Horomia, in particular their recognition of the very long struggle of these iwi to arrive at this place today, a struggle for redress that has, we're talking over a century of effort and work by many people. Their acknowledgement of those who have passed away, and one hopes that the events of today will help those who have passed rest more peacefully and give hope and opportunity to the current leadership and people of these two iwi to reclaim their own future, to restore the well-being of their people and indeed of the land that sustains them. So I think it's worth noting, as ever, the history of these claims. They're important historical documents, the acts, the bills that will become the acts of settlement, because they do record the histories. And it's interesting that both of these iwi endeavoured to stay aloof from other people's wars. They endeavoured to simply get on with their own lives in the 1840s and 50s. But unfortunately, as we know, of course, the events of the 1860s overtook them. These iwi were obliged to entangle themselves in other people's disputes, to take sides, and it was at considerable cost, and it was the beginning of a long history of degradation of their land, of their social well-being, of their lives indeed. We know that it was what little was left to these iwi at the conclusion of the shooting war continued to be whittled away over time by the machinations of the land court, the native land court, and the Crown of the day. The actions of the Crown were neither honest nor honourable, and it is a privilege and a pleasure to us all, I'm sure, to endeavour to restore, to give back a little of what was taken today, albeit after a very, very long time has elapsed. I think recognising the very poor treatment of the Crown in the past simply reminds us of the responsibility all of us of parliamentarians have to ensure that all people are treated with fairly and decently and in an honourable way. So these settlement bills for Ngati Manawa, Ngati Whare also highlight the importance of rivers, the lifeblood of the land and of the people who depend on that land, critical to the identification of us as Māori through our whakapapa, and increasingly important to non-Māori New Zealanders who have considerable physical and spiritual attachments to the riverways, to the waterways in this country. It's clear that our rivers have not been well managed, they have not been protected, they have been degraded, as have been the catchments that feed them. And it is a very positive thing that these bills restore the status of kaitiaki to the people who know the rivers best, who have got the longest history of caring for them, of managing them, and it is a good thing that there is more opportunity now for the kaitiaki to exercise a degree of power, a degree of authority in the restoration and the well-being of those rivers. I note the Select Committee report did express some regret that the level of control, of authority, if you like, is perhaps not consistent with that which has been allowed in other bills, notably the Waikato River Settlement, which some of us hope might set the standard, it might set the baseline. But nevertheless, there is a considerable step forward, and I'm sure that the commitment, the determination of the people who have this rights restored to them will ensure that these rivers do thrive, do improve, and to the benefit of us all. The Select Committee also noted that there was some nervousness among consent holders, people who have resource consents that are relative to the waters and to the riverways, and they were concerned that giving iwi and hapu a degree of control might threaten their resource consent renewals. And I say to them that if those people act honourably, if they act in ways that respect and acknowledge the importance of those rivers, if they are open and if they are respectful of the conditions that apply to their current consents, then they will give iwi and hapu no reason to not restore, to not renew their consents in time. So it is in the hands of those people holding those consents to ensure that there is no, that the future of those consents is assured. I think, sir, I will leave my comments there, simply again to acknowledge the very, very long struggle of Ngati Whare and Ngati Manawa, to offer our respects of the Green Party to them, to wish them all the best going into the future. May they thrive as they deserve to. Kia ora koutou.
Speaker. Brendan Horan, I rise on behalf